The world ends in many different ways, through infection, nuclear war, isolation, and human greed. In this ranking, you will find 7 new zombie and post-apocalyptic movies to watch in 2025. These films focus on survival, moral choices, and the dark side of humanity after civilization collapses. At the very end, I also included 2 bonus movies from 2024, added especially for fans of the genre who want to explore bunker stories, nuclear panic, and psychological survival even further. Stay until the end. The Fortunate Ones. The story focuses on a group of survivors who find themselves in an isolated, luxurious community created just before the collapse of the world. The place looks like paradise compared to what is happening outside. High walls, its own energy supply, years of provisions. But what was supposed to provide safety quickly turns out to be a trap. Each resident has been carefully selected, and their roles in the community are strictly controlled. As a young woman begins to uncover disturbing details about the founders of the settlement, secrets about experiments, manipulation, and people who did not end up here by accident come to light. The idol begins to crack, and the elite guard their power at all costs. The Fortunate Ones shows that in a post-apocalyptic world, the greatest threat is not monsters or viruses, but people who believe they can decide the fate of others. Residents. The world lies in ruins, and every day is a struggle for survival. A mysterious wanderer traverses the apocalyptic wasteland with a mute child and a group of random survivors whose fates were brought together only after the end of civilization. Together, they search for a place where they can feel safe, even for a moment. But the landscape full of zombies gives them no respite. Every step is a risk. Every noise can attract another horde. When they find themselves in an abandoned medieval amusement park, a glimmer of hope appears. However, they quickly discover that it is not only the dead who are hot on their heels. They are being tracked by a madman whose obsession becomes a deadly threat. Brutal action, chaos, and exaggerated humor intertwine in a dynamic, energetic story about survival in a world where there are no rules anymore. A 44. When a mysterious infection ravages a quiet town and turns its residents into a horde of bloodthirsty zombies, Harley, a young student, becomes one of the last hopes for rescue. He is accompanied by his faithful German shepherd Indy and a group of friends who together try to escape from Amherst, which has been engulfed in madness. They embark on a desperate quest to find a cure before the disease spreads throughout the region. Their only lead is an underfunded scientist with a fragile prototype antidote, the last glimmer of hope in a world that is falling apart. Each step takes them deeper into chaos, and the city around them forces them to make choices no one should ever have to make. Harley must face not only the growing threat, but also his own fear, knowing that the lives of those who trust him are at stake. The days ahead. After the outbreak of nuclear war, Great Britain is plunged into chaos and society is forced into immediate isolation. The days ahead consists of 3 separate stories, each showing a different way of responding to the disaster. In the first, we observe a group of employees trapped in an office, unsure whether it is safer to wait or act. The second focuses on a man trying to protect his family as he barricades his home against the effects of the attack and growing panic. The third tells the story of a father who, along with his wife and daughter, seeks refuge in a bunker, struggling with fear, uncertainty, and a sense of responsibility. All 3 stories share an atmosphere of anxiety, mounting tension, and the question of how people behave when the world collapses in an instant. The film shows the drama of ordinary people forced to fight an invisible threat and their own emotions, when the only thing that can be certain is that nothing will ever be the same again. And now a question for the audience.
Listen carefully. I'll show you 4 choices in the zombie world. Most people choose the wrong one. Only one gives you a real chance of survival. Let's see what you choose.
Option 1. You run immediately. No plan. No looking back. You don't stop, you don't think. One mistake, and it's over.
Option 2. You hide and wait. You control every breath, every sound. You don't know how long it will take. You just hope the zombies find someone else before they find you.
Option 3. You stay and fight. Every hit makes noise. Every sound brings more infected. The longer you fight, the worse it gets.
Option 4. You sacrifice someone else to buy time. You know it works. You run, you survive, and you live with that choice forever.
Now choose. Enter the number and explain why. If you can't explain it, then you've already made the wrong choice.
Egghead Republic. In a world where the Cold War never ended and Kazakhstan was hit by an atomic bomb, rumors are circulating about a mysterious, isolated zone that allegedly exists in an alternate reality. This is where Sonia, a 22-year-old Swedish woman working for one of the world's most fashionable magazines, is invited. Her task is to create a report that will confirm or refute the crazy stories about mutated centaurs living in the radioactive area. Together with a team of journalists, she embarks on a journey that quickly turns into a surreal expedition full of chaos, improvisation, and uncertainty. The characters try to understand whether they have ended up in a nuclear-contaminated place or in a world governed by completely different rules. Egghead Republic combines satire, mockumentary, and bizarre science fiction to create a story about how thin the line between truth, myth, and human imagination can be, especially when you cross the threshold of a reality that no one can describe. Before I show the announced titles, I want to say one thing. For a long time, I've had an idea for a full-length zombie movie inspired by World War Z. Since Hollywood doesn't seem interested in making a second part, someone has to take that risk. And honestly, I'm seriously considering doing it myself. A global scale, fast zombies, chaos, realism, and no compromises. If you'd like to see a project like that and think this genre deserves something bigger, let me know in the comments. Now let's move on to the movies. Nuked. During dinner, a group of friends decide to do something they haven't done in a long time. Put away their phones, avoid using any technology, and simply spend the evening together. The atmosphere is light, full of conversation, jokes, and marijuana, which they smoke to further enhance the mood. However, everything changes in an instant when they accidentally find out that a nuclear bomb is heading their way. Panic mixes with disbelief, and the whole situation begins to spiral out of control. The friends try to understand how much time they have left and what they should actually do. But every attempt to make a decision ends in another comedic mishap. Nuked entertains with its absurdity, showing how completely unprepared we are for the worst-case scenario, especially when the last thing we planned was to face the end of the world. Half-Lives. The story focuses on Luke Marikos, a man who built an elegant, perfectly equipped bunker before the global catastrophe. It was supposed to be a safe haven during the crisis, a place where a small group of survivors could weather the worst. Initially, everything goes according to plan. Supplies are plentiful, systems are functioning, and people are trying to create a new semblance of normality underground. Over time, however, life behind closed doors begins to show its darker side. Isolation, growing tensions, and lack of contact with the outside world slowly drive everyone to extremes. The line between safety and imprisonment begins to blur, and the psychological pressure becomes stronger than the fear of the world above ground. Half-Lives is an intimate, intense drama about how prolonged isolation can break even the most prepared people.